Hey there, guys. How you doing? It's Lucas Johnson back here with another episode of no bullshit. I guess I'm using the term episode, but that's really, it's not exactly the right term, I don't think. But who cares? Nobody's watching. It doesn't matter what I say. It's great. Hallelujah. Actually, it probably does matter. Anyway, that's gonna go directly in contradiction with what I'm saying. So. If you are watching, I would love to hear what you are doing for this COVID-19 quarantine down in the comments if they're not shut off like a lot of my other videos have been. Because I'm bored and I have books, but I would rather not read them because then I have to read and that would be terrible. I'm realizing I got a nice little double chin action, it's growing, it's getting rounder, it's cute, and I'll admit my belly is getting it's getting rounder, it's cute, but I'd like to say I'm getting a little not necessarily jacked, but just muscles or gains, whatever the term is that's used, but hey, if I can swing it, cool. If not, I don't care. Anyway, so I'm writing an essay for the National Honor Society on character. And one of the questions that they had is, what is your definition of character? Now, I'll be totally honest. That's a very difficult question to answer just because you can go down so many different roads. Well, I found a cheat sheet online of what the National Honor Society defines as character. And they have 6 pillars. Respect, responsibility, trustworthiness, fairness, caring, and citizenship. Well, I'm writing on honesty or trustworthiness. And I figured, I can't put I had a whole tangent. I can't put that in the paper because it's got to be kind of somewhat direct. But you know what? I'll say it and upload it to YouTube. So basically the question is, what's the point of being honest? Why is it important? Why do we recognize it as being important? Well, okay. The last thing I was writing on responsibility, the conclusion that I basically came to is that if people took responsibility for their actions and their environment and their situation and made the best out of it, this world would be a better place. It would benefit. And if they did not so, the world would fall back into chaos, Jordan Peterson, with the order and chaos type deal, we'll go back and forth with that. But basically my thing with words, honesty, basically talked about, okay, when we take responsibility for our actions, there's a physical component when people talk about being responsible. Okay, I'm going to trust you to do a job. I'm going to give you tools. You're going to dig a ditch. You're going to lay a pipe. You're going to run wire through the pipe. Okay? Okay, simple enough. Well, if you don't do that, if you don't dig the trench, if you don't lay the pipe, if you don't run the wire, there are physical consequences. There's a physical aspect to it. And by my reckoning, that means that the scope of not only the responsibility, but the consequences of not taking responsibility are limited by their very nature. Now, granted, limited does not mean small. Limited can mean very big. It's like, it branches out, well, okay, we don't do this, and then this person doesn't pay us. Well, that means that our workers don't get food or cash, and that means that they can't pay for food. And that means that their children, starve. Well, okay, the scope can be very big, but my idea is that it's limited by that physical nature characteristic. Factor, I don't even know the word. But when you talk about words and honesty, I don't think that there is that physical characteristic. I think that when you talk about honesty and dishonesty, you're not talking about digging a trench, laying a pipe, running wire. You're talking about the belief systems that people create in their mind. I think that if you are a trustworthy person and you're talking to a person they trust you, then what they're going to do is whatever you say, even if they disagree with it, if you are trustworthy and they are smart and have perspective and examine their beliefs and try to align it with the truth, what they are going to inevitably do is alter or structure their beliefs around what you have said. That's an immense power. Why is that? Well, look at beliefs. People will go very far to protect their beliefs. Very, very, very far. We have had wars. We've had everything from little fights between, two friends to wars between many, many nations. When people have their beliefs attacked, like, communism versus capitalism. That was the Cold War. We came very close to nuclear war and ending the world over two belief systems, right? To pull another Jordan Peterson quote, people get unbelievably upset when you poke them in the axioms, so to speak. But the thing is, what I think is that if you're talking to someone and they structure their beliefs around what you say, that means that if it's centered in the truth, even if they disagree with it, if it's right and it's truthful, their beliefs are only going to get stronger and better and make them more prepared for life. And the thing is about lying too, sometimes you can lie or be dishonest to look better, like to give a better answer, right? To make a more moral answer, or at least seemingly, to be more sensitive. But my conclusion is that the world, from a theological perspective, the world is good, and I'm not going to get into that here because that's another tangent. But from the philosophical aspect, the world isn't sensitive, the world isn't moral. The world is amoral, and the world is asensitive. It doesn't even enter the equation of anything, morality and sensitivity. But truthfulness does, because nature is what we use to kind of measure truthfulness, right? So if you have belief systems in the world that are based on something that is untrue, even if you did it out of the goodness of your heart, out of the sensitivity that you have as a human person for this other person, it will get knocked down without any regard for morality and without any regard for sensitivity by the world, because the world cannot, by its nature, care. It only cares about the truth. And since that's what we measure against, when it comes in contradiction, the world is going to destroy that belief, because the world is what you're measuring it against. So in what you're measuring your beliefs against attacks your beliefs are going to lose every time, every single time. And if it looks as though your beliefs win, it's because you're measuring it against something else, not the thing that you're beating. Okay, so, but basically the analogy that I kind of thought up was that honesty is important because off of what you say is what people are going to build their beliefs. In this analogy, it's a house. If what you say is true, it's going to hold steadfast when brought out into the world. That's the old Socratic idea. He brought his ideas into the world and got rid of those that did not work. It's a rock, truthfulness. Okay? People build their beliefs, these houses, on the rock. Right? Well, look at what happens when you aren't truthful, when you aren't honest. That means that they're built on sand. They have no foundation. They're not rooted against anything. When the wind or the waves come through, that house is getting wiped out. And since we so closely identify with all of our beliefs, like You wrap your identity around what you believe. Like, doesn't matter what you believe. If you're a Catholic, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Buddhist, hell, if you're a vegan, if you're a CrossFitter, they kind of wrap their identity around that belief, right? That's good for you, or that's what you should be doing, or etc., etc. That's like your beliefs are very, 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 very closely attached and related to your identity. So we want to be careful when we present the truth, because not only if we are creating our beliefs on this sandy beach, well, when our beliefs go because they're put up against the world and the world destroys it, well, there's a chunk of our identity gone, gotten rid of. We're back to square one. Whereas even if we start on a rock, and as we're building our house, we have to get rid of walls, we have to get rid of doors, we have to get rid of staircases, we have to get rid of individual pieces and parts because they do not work. They're smaller getting rid ofs. I don't even know the word. It's smaller little things. Quick, just done, 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 done. As opposed to one quick swoop and your identity is gone. Gone. And it's catastrophic to have your identity gone. Catastrophic. You know, I think that that's a large part of, disputes. Now, granted, this is me talking out my ass, but I think that even things like midlife crises is due to you losing your identity, or your identity radically changing, and you're back to square one and you get desperate. That's why it's important that we build, or that we are truthful in everything we say. Because if we are untruthful, this thing that you're creating, these beliefs that you are creating as a result of the words that you are saying, are going to create catastrophic results for everyone around you that builds their beliefs off of these things that you are saying that are untrue. So that's my whole tangent. It's shorter than normal. Normally it's like a half an hour to an hour video. This one's only like 13, 14, 15 minutes, which is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So hopefully it'll upload faster and maybe I'll get some more views on it. But anyway, that's your COVID kind of video. Just a quick little snippet. And it's actually not quick. It's longer than a lot of videos on YouTube. Anyway, I love you, crazy people. God bless you. Stay safe. I'll see you next time.